Aisha's voice raised, saying to the Prophet S. By Allah, I surely know that Ali is dearer to you than me and my father. She repeated this twice or three times. Aisha's hatred for Imam Ali was so much that she always tried to distance him from the Prophet S. whenever she could find the means to do so. The Mutazili ibn Abi al-Hadid, in his commentary on the Naj al-Balagha said the Prophet of Allah beckoned to Ali to come close. He came close until he sat between him and Aisha, and he and the Prophet were clung together. She said to him, "Can you not find a seat for this one except on my thigh?" He also narrated that one day the Prophet of Allah was walking with Imam Ali, and the conversation became prolonged. Aisha approached as she was walking from behind until she came between them, saying, "What is it between you two that you are taking so long?" Upon this the Prophet of Allah became angry. It is also reported that she once came upon the Prophet whilst he was conversing quietly with Ali. She screamed and said, "What is it with you and me, O son of Abu Talib? I have just one day with the Prophet of Allah." Thereupon the Prophet became angry. How often did she anger the Prophet with her conduct, which arose due to her intense jealousy and furious nature and her offensive words? Would the Prophet be pleased with any believing man or woman whose heart was filled with hatred and malice towards his cousin, the leader of his progeny, he of whom he said, "He loves Allah and his Prophet, and Allah and his Prophet love him." He also said about him, "Whoever loves, Ali has loved me, and whoever hates, Ali has hated me." Allah, glory be to him, ordered the wives of the Prophet to remain in their houses and not to go out from them, displaying their ornaments. He also ordered them to read the Quran, to undertake the prayer, to pay zakat and to obey Allah and his Apostle. All the wives of the Prophet of Allah obeyed the injunctions of Allah, and the commands of his Prophet who forbade and warned them before he died. "Which one of you will ride the camel and have the dogs of Al-Ha'ab bark at her?" All of them obeyed with the exception of Aisha. She disobeyed all his orders and scoffed at all the warnings. Historians relate that Hafsa bint Umar wanted to go with her for the battle of the camel, but her brother, Abd Allah, reproached her and recited the aforementioned verse to her. Hafsa then cancelled her plans. Aisha, however, rode the camel and the dogs of Al-Ha'ab barked at her. Taha Hussein says, in his book The Great Sedition Al-Fitna al-Kubra, on her route, Aisha passed by some water and some dogs barked at her. She asked about the water and was told that it was Al-Ha'ab. She was greatly shocked and said, take me back, I have heard the Prophet of Allah saying, while he was with his wives, which one of you will the dogs of Al-Ha'ab bark at?" Abd Allah b. Zubair came, having been instructed to pacify her, bringing 50 men from the Banu Amir who falsely swore that the water was not that of Al-Ha'ab. I believe that this narration was fabricated during the time of the Banu Umayyah to reduce the severity of Aisha's disobedience, thinking that Aisha would be exonerated after her nephew, Abd Allah b. al-Zubair, deceived her, coming with 50 men who swore by God and gave false testimony that the water was not that of Al-Ha'ab. It is truly a foolish joke. They wanted to delude, through such reports, those of shallow perception and to convince them that Aisha was fooled because, when she passed the water and heard the barking of the dogs, and inquired about the water, it was said that they were at Al-Ha'ab. She was distressed and said, take me back, do the people who forged this narration search for an excuse for Aisha's disobedience of the order of Allah, and what was revealed in the Quran regarding the incumbency for her to stay in her house? Or did they seek for an excuse for her disobedience to the order of the Prophet of Allah to stay within her house and the prohibition of riding a camel before arriving at the well of Al-Ha'ab, the watering place of the barking dogs? Did they find an excuse for Aisha, after she rejected the advice of Salama? Historians have recorded the incident in which she said to her, "Do you remember the day the Prophet of Allah proceeded, and we were with him and he turned left from a place called Kadid and sat alone with Ali, and whispered to him for a long time. You wanted to force yourself on them. I tried to prevent you, but you disobeyed me and intruded. It wasn't long before you returned in tears. I asked, "What happened to you?" And you replied. I approached them, and they were in conversation, so I said to Ali, I get with the Prophet one day out of 9, so can you not, O son of Abu Talib, leave me with him on my day? The messenger of Allah came towards me, and he was red with anger, and said, "Go back. By Allah, none except those who have abandoned faith can hate him." I returned repentant and sad. Aisha said, "Yes, I remember that." Salama continued, "I will also remind you too that you and I were with the Prophet and he said to us, 'Which one of you will be the rider of the trained camel, at whom the dogs of Ha'ab will bark, and she will have deviated from the right path?' We said, 'We seek refuge from Allah and his Prophet from that.' He touched your back and said, 'Don't be that one, O Humaira.'" Aisha said, "I remember that." Salama said, "Do you not remember that day when your father came with Umar, so we put on our veils? They came in and spoke about what they wanted to, until they said, 'O Prophet of Allah, we do not know how long you will be with us. If only you were to tell us who will succeed you as caliph over us, so that there will be after you a place we can turn to.' He said to them, 'As for me, I have seen his position in front of you. Were I to do this, you would all fall into disunity as the Israelites dispersed from Aaron.' They remained quiet and left. After they had departed, we came out to the Prophet and you said to him, as you were more forthcoming with him than all of us, 'O Messenger of Allah, who did you appoint as caliph over them?' He said, 'The wearer of the mended shoe.' We went out and we saw it was Ali. You said, 'O Prophet, I do not see anyone apart from Ali.' He replied, 'He is the one.' Aisha said, 'Yes, I remember that.' Salama said to her, 'So then, Aisha, how can you go ahead after this?' She replied, 'I venture forth to reconcile the people.' Salama sought to prevent her from the uprising, using strong words, saying, 'The pillars of Islam, if they lean, are not set erect by women, and if they crack, are not joined by women. The praiseworthy things for women are lowering their gazes and protecting their chastity. What would you say if the messenger of Allah appeared before you in one of these deserts and finds you driving your camel from one watering place to another? By Allah, if I were to embark upon this journey of yours, then it was said to me, enter paradise, I would be ashamed to face Muhammad after having thrown off the veils he has placed upon me. Just as Aisha did not accept the advice of many sincere companions, Al-Tabari in his history related that Jariya b. Qudama al-Sadi said to her, O mother of the believers, by Allah, the murder of Uthman is less despicable than you going out on this accursed camel from your house and bearing arms. Allah has imposed on you the veil and sanctity. You have destroyed your cover and defiled your respect. Surely, whoever sees your uprising sees your destruction. If you come to us obeying, then go back to your house. If you have come to us in coercion, then seek the help of the people. Historians have recorded that she was the general leader, supervising, separating people and issuing commands. Even when Zubair and Talha argued as to who should lead the prayer, and when both wanted to lead, Aisha intervened and removed them both and ordered Abd Allah b. Zubair, her nephew, to lead the people in prayer. She would dispatch messengers with letters which she sent to several regions, requesting their assistance against Ali b. Abi Talib, and urging them with the Jahili zeal the days of ignorance. She even recruited 20,000 or more rabble and greedy Arabs to fight and depose the commander of the faithful. Her urging resulted in zealous discord, where large numbers of people were killed in the name of defending and aiding the mother of the believers. The historians say that when the companions of Aisha came to Uthman b. Hanif, the governor of Basra, they took him along with 70 of his officers who oversaw the public treasury as prisoners. They brought them to Aisha, who ordered that they be put to death. They were slaughtered as sheep are slaughtered. It is even reported there were 400 men in all, and that they were the first Muslims whose heads were cut off whilst they were patient. Al-Shabi reported from Muslim b. Abi Bakr from his father, when Talha and Zubair reached Basra, I put on my sword as I wanted to help them. I visited Aisha, she was ordering, prohibiting, she was in Command. I remembered a hadith from the Prophet of Allah which I used to hear him say. A community which has its affairs administered by a woman will never succeed. I therefore withdrew from them and left them. Al-Bukhari has reported from Abi Bakr. Allah benefited me by a word during the days of the Battle of the Camel. For when the Prophet heard that the Persians had made the daughter of Chosroes their queen, he said, "The people that have their affairs administered by a woman will never succeed." One of the things that makes us laugh and weep at one time is that Aisha went out of her residence in disobedience to Allah and His Prophet and then ordered the companions to remain in their houses. This is surely a strange thing. How, dear Lord, could this occur? The Mutazili ibn Abu al-Hadid, in the commentary on the Naj al-Balagha, reported, along with historians, that Aisha sent a letter when she was in Basra to Zayd b. Safwan al-Abdi, in which she said to him, "From Aisha, daughter of Abu Bakr, the truthful one, wife of the Prophet to her devoted son, Zayd b. Safwan, remain at home and make the people abandon the son of Abu Talib. I hope to hear what I would love from you, since you are the most trustworthy of my family with Salam." This righteous man replied to her thus. From Zayd b. Safwan to Aisha bint Abi Bakr. Allah issued a commandment to you and He also issued a commandment to us. He ordered you to remain in your residence, and He ordered us to fight. Your letter has come to me instructing me to do contrary to what Allah has ordered me to do. You have asked me to do what Allah has ordered you to do and that you do what Allah has asked me to do. Your order to me is something that I cannot obey, therefore there is no reply necessary to your letter. From this, it becomes clear to us that Aisha was not content with leading the army of the camel, but